Brendan, the timing of this is all very interesting. Of course, we heard from Megan on TikTok, and now we hear from Christina on chips. And does this suggest to you that maybe China is trading TikTok for chips as it pertains to just the geopolitical balance between China and the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, these are pawns on the chessboard. I think a few copies of Art of the Deal got sold in China. If it's Boeing airplanes, soybeans from the Midwest, these are things that from the China side, and then you have rare earths. So they're just applying pressure where they can. We saw this with the U.S. threatening tariffs on Russian oil. These are just they're applying pressure. The two sides, hopefully the two leaders work it out, and we see a Trump-Xi summit this year.
I mean, you have both parties, as you lay out there, kind of creating new leverage points. Where does that ultimately net out relative to where we started?
I mean, ultimately, the U.S. and Chinese economies are highly integrated. So I think you don't this decoupling idea. I don't think it's going to happen. Certainly, you'll see strategic industries focused here in the U.S. But big picture, there's a lot of cheap stuff coming out of China that U.S. consumers want. They want U.S. airplanes. They want NVIDIA chips. And I think they're willing to concede things like TikTok, provide rare earths, magnets to the U.S. And so I think it's just more some of the rhetoric dies down a little bit. And I think that allows corporations to do what they've always done within the U.S. and China, which is get along quite well with one another.
Are you surprised, going back to TikTok, that the Chinese would be willing to let the algorithm go to U.S. owners? I mean, that was something that was such a sticking point for years now. And it was something that, from a national security standpoint, the U.S. was adamant about. Do you think that all along it's essentially been a pawn, or do you think it's something that China was just kind of conceded that really it's chips that they're focused on and an algorithm is an algorithm?
I think the latter. I think big picture, you go on to ByteDance.com and you look at About Us. 60% of the shareholders of ByteDance are people who hold U.S. passports. I mean, this is U.S. and global private equity. Who's invested in those private equity funds? Your alma mater, your local foundation, your local pension. To make that a zero hurts the interests of the U.S. interest in ByteDance, in TikTok. So I think that's why you find a solution that works for both sides.
Are there other kind of names in the sector in China that feel like they're a little bit less exploited already? In other words, that are playing on the big trends, whether it's AI or something else that you would focus on now?
Yeah, I think obviously you're seeing this re-rating in Alibaba, but coming out of their August, the talk about AI and the benefit of their cloud business. At the same time, we really like some of the smaller names. You have a Tencent Music, the Spotify of China, this company Bilibili, it's online video. Kuashu, which is another online video company. These are names that are a little bit under the radar. They're going to be pretty volatile, but I think it's part of the reason we like this basket approach. Obviously, it's self-serving and highly biased with K-Web, just because the e-commerce has really struggled with some of the restaurant delivery war. Hopefully, some of this anti-involution is applied to e-commerce like we're starting to see in auto and solar, which actually does address U.S. overcapacity complaints.
Interesting. Brendan Ahern, thanks for rolling with us today of KraneShares. Appreciate your time.